Hello. I want to show you undisputed true evidence Eckhart Tolle is claiming the information in his video is his, that he read in my book. As suggested in my previous video, please compare the publishing dates. In this video you will see clips of his video calling In the Light of Consciousness Awaken Your Inner Light free video mini-series number 2 to compare with the pages of my book, The Soul's Origin The Next Phase. Please understand, as Eckhart is ranked as the number 6 most spiritual person in the world, he should be truthful with the ones he claims to be teaching. Being as he is using my book, does that make me number 6 and him a wolf in sheep's clothing looking for attention? Clearly his ego has a strong hold on him.
Nothing to do with intellect or thinking. You don't need a high IQ. It doesn't matter whether your IQ is high or low, whether you're educated or uneducated. You can sense this beyond or what your personal history is, whether you're an abject failure in the eyes of the world or you're the greatest thing.
Notice Eckhart says you do not need an education. Here is what I wrote underlined in red. I say this because I have no extended education to speak of. With regrets, I was forced to drop out of high school. Notice Eckhart's laugh because he cannot believe any person can become enlightened beyond imagination. He is hiding the truth from you. He realizes if you read this book, he may not be needed anymore. Rather than accepting a job finished, his ego is huffing and puffing.
This is the essence realization, and it's very, very simple. That's the kingdom of heaven that Jesus was talking about, that you cannot say, oh, it's over here or it's over there. You cannot, it's not an object, it's the subject, the eternal subject. So for a moment, and you don't need to say, okay, I'm going to meditate on it. You don't even need to meditate. Meditation is wonderful for those who practice it, but this realization can be there at any moment.
You can see I quoted Jesus from the Gospels of Thomas. Eckhart is now doing the same, because he knew nothing about it. Had Eckhart known, then he would have done videos long ago. I assume he will try to define them in the future. He may never reach that because of his ego. As long as his ego trumps humbleness, I will not allow that, and he will never rule the world as the Gospels explain. That is reserved for the true heart. Are you one of them? I ask you to keep paying attention to his laugh. He is like a child that just discovered candy. He just discovered a treasure that is not his, and will not be until he humbles himself by admitting the truth to you.
Wisdom emanates from that deeper place of presence, awareness, the light of consciousness. It comes.
You just heard him say it comes from that deeper place, that consciousness. As you listen to this part, read what you see. Do you see the match? There is no deeper consciousness. There is only the energy of Creator that is covered by the ways of the world that a person sees, that a person pays attention to. He adds that deeper consciousness as a confusion to make you work harder than needs to be. He wants you to focus on consciousness rather than focus on the energy Creator put in your soul. It does not take awareness of consciousness, just awareness of that energy.
You can have very developed mind, but no wisdom. That's very dangerous. The more developed your mind becomes, which means your mind separates. It sees isolated problems and tries to tackle isolated problems.
You just heard Eckhart try to seduce you with mysticism. He is diluting the eloquence and simplicity of change to being a spiritual being with information that is not needed. The page you are looking at is related to what he is trying to say without breaking copyright laws. If only he had contacted me.
Make you into a benevolent human being. What also emanates from there is empathy, empathy with other humans, empathy with other life forms, the ability to have compassion.
In this chapter of my book, I wrote how a soul needs to become good. Eckhart used the word benevolent. I wrote how a soul needed to gain compassion and empathy before it could go to heaven. I mentioned this could be done in the physical life before the flesh expires. Read the page as you listen to this, please. Are you seeing how he took the information and claimed it was his? He said it was his. The clip is in my previous video.
So people are very difficult. And many personalities are obnoxious. And yet even there, yes, you see the personality and the conditioned entity, but beyond the personality and the conditioned entity, you can sense the same beingness that you sense in your. There's a light of consciousness in every human, even if it might be veiled, heavily veiled, concealed by heavy conditioning. And in some people, I must admit, the light is very deeply hidden.
With what Eckhart just stated, please read the text. Do you see the words conditioned and conceal? That is not him speaking. It is me. Notice once again he is laughing. He is laughing because he just found a treasure of information to keep you glued to his videos. He was running out of information. I ask you to please pay close attention to the next segment of Eckhart's video, then read carefully the text taken from my book.
For a moment, I've experienced, I'm not going into detail here, a deeply disturbed person for a few minutes suddenly becoming extremely present and conscious, totally freed of their paranoid, in this case, paranoid delusions, completely free suddenly, as if the heavy clouds had suddenly parted. So it's.
Did you hear that? He experienced a deeply disturbed person. Please read the text of the 2 pages from my book. I said I would not go into details. I mentioned that would be a book for someone else to write. Please read the text from the 2 pages, pause the video if you need to. In my book I mentioned how that person is no longer able to cause harm. Eckhart mentions how the person is free and the clouds have parted. That is not what I said. I mentioned that the person's evil was removed by me, and they are now mindless and cannot form a full thought. That is the work of Creator through me. This should tell you Eckhart is looking for more information because he is not gifted with the insight that Creator provides, nor has he experienced life. How could he? He is tucked away in a mansion safe from the world because he has made $70 million from you. Please remember, I am not out to bash Eckhart, he just needs a little humbling. If he is going to place himself as a teacher of spirituality, then he needs to live in the truth of spirit. In the truth of me. As in my book, I ask you to please think logically. Is Eckhart what he claims to be? Eckhart, once again I thank you for the compliment of using my book. Please have your people get in touch with me. But remember, when you do not give credit for the work, you are breaking a copyright law. For those of you that watched the video, and may have watched other videos Eckhart has done, please notice how he struggles to find the answers to many questions. He is using what education he has, it is not coming from that place he likes to mention. Please keep in mind I am no better, nor different from you. If I can become of the Spirit, so can you. Like and subscribe if you please. I will make the next video of a question no other so-called spiritualist can answer. Why the God particle cannot be found. When I post that video, will you then believe I am the real thing? Eckhart must think so after what you just saw with your own eyes.